10 conspiracy theories that turned out to be true. Conspiracy theories are often dismissed as outlandish or paranoid fantasies. Yet, history shows us that sometimes, these so-called theories are based on shocking realities. From government mind control experiments to covert manipulation, these 10 cases prove that truth can be stranger than fiction. Number 1. Operation Mockingbird, media puppetry in action. Operation Mockingbird was a covert CIA initiative during the Cold War designed to control narratives in American and international media. Launched in the 1950s, it involved recruiting over 400 journalists from prestigious outlets such as the New York Times, Time, and the Washington Post. These journalists were instructed to plant propaganda or suppress unfavorable narratives. Revelations emerged during the Church Committee hearings in 1976, exposing that even TV networks like CBS were under the agency's thumb. The program wasn't limited to domestic audiences, it extended to international news outlets, influencing foreign perceptions of U.S. policies. Frank Wisner, a senior CIA official, described the operation as having a mighty Wurlitzer of media influence, playing any tune the agency required. Declassified documents later confirmed that the CIA budgeted millions annually for these covert activities, creating a disturbing legacy of disinformation. Number 2. The Dalai Lama and CIA paychecks. Declassified CIA documents in 1998 revealed that from the 1960s to the 1970s, the Tibetan leader Tenzin Gyatso, the 14th Dalai Lama, received financial backing from the U.S. government. The payments totaled $1.7 million annually, with $180,000 allocated directly to the Dalai Lama himself. The funds were part of an anti-communist strategy during the Cold War to destabilize Mao Zedong's China. The operation also included training Tibetan guerrilla fighters at Camp Hale, Colorado, where monks were taught sabotage and espionage techniques. Guerrillas used these skills in Nepal to disrupt Chinese operations. While the Dalai Lama later admitted to accepting funds, he emphasized that the money was primarily for humanitarian purposes. Still, this association between a spiritual leader and clandestine warfare casts a shadow over his otherwise serene image. What do you think about this revelation? Does it change your perception of the Dalai Lama's peaceful image? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Number 3. Edith Wilson, America's shadow president. In October 1919, President Woodrow Wilson suffered a debilitating stroke, leaving him partially paralyzed and unable to perform his duties. Unwilling to admit his incapacity publicly, his wife, Edith Wilson, assumed control of presidential responsibilities. For 17 months, Edith managed state affairs, deciding which issues were important enough to bring to her husband's limited attention. Historians describe this period as a stewardship presidency, but Edith's critics argue it was an unconstitutional usurpation of power. She reviewed cabinet memos, met with Congress members, and even vetoed legislation. Vice President Thomas Marshall was sidelined entirely. As Edith herself later wrote in her memoir, "I studied every paper sent from the different secretaries or senators, and only submitted the most pressing matters to my husband." Her role remains one of the most extraordinary and controversial episodes in First Lady history. Number 4. HAARP, weaponizing the weather? The High-Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, HAARP, was established in 1993 as a joint project between the U.S. Air Force, Navy, and the University of Alaska. Officially, HAARP was designed to study the ionosphere to improve communication and surveillance technologies. However, conspiracy theorists accused the program of weather manipulation, triggering earthquakes, and even mind control. Declassified Air Force documents from 1996 titled "Weather as a Force Multiplier, Owning the Weather in 2025" described hypothetical uses of weather manipulation for military advantage. HAARP's high-powered radio waves, which could heat portions of the atmosphere, fueled suspicions. While scientists dismiss claims of earthquakes and hurricanes as exaggerated, HAARP's true potential remains a mystery. Public scrutiny grew so intense that the facility ceased military operations in 2014, transferring ownership to the University of Alaska. Could weather manipulation really be happening? Is HAARP a misunderstood research tool or something more sinister? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Number 5. Project MKUltra, Psychedelics and Psychological Torture. In 1953, the CIA launched Project MKUltra, a chilling experiment to control human behavior. Over 149 subprojects explored hypnosis, LSD, sensory deprivation, and even electroconvulsive therapy. The program targeted unsuspecting individuals, including U.S. citizens, prisoners, and mental hospital patients. One infamous case involved Dr. Donald Ewan Cameron, who subjected patients to psychic driving experiments, forcing them to listen to recorded messages on repeat for hours or even days. The results were catastrophic. Patients were left with severe memory loss and psychological trauma. In 1973, CIA Director Richard Helms ordered all MKUltra files destroyed. Yet, over 20,000 misfiled documents survived, leading to Senate hearings in 1975. Victims sought justice, but the government largely avoided accountability. As survivor Harold Blar's family stated, the CIA treated humans as guinea pigs in a horrifying game of mind control. Number 6. Prohibition poisonings, a deadly experiment. During the 1920s, the U.S. government poisoned industrial alcohol to deter bootlegging. Criminals were repurposing alcohol meant for cleaning supplies into drinkable moonshine. In response, the Treasury Department mandated manufacturers to spike alcohol with toxic chemicals, including methanol. The government's intent was to discourage illegal consumption, but the results were catastrophic. By 1929, more than 10,000 deaths were attributed to poison alcohol. Critics labeled it state-sponsored murder, accusing authorities of recklessly endangering lives. Journalist Deborah Blum, in her book The Poisoner's Handbook, wrote, "Prohibitionists believed the moral end justified the lethal means." Public outrage eventually forced changes, but the scandal remains a grim chapter in America's war on alcohol. Number 7. Project Sunshine, the Baby Snatchers. In the 1950s, Project Sunshine investigated the effects of nuclear fallout by collecting human tissue samples, often without consent. Researchers targeted the bodies of deceased infants and children, viewing their developing bones as ideal for measuring radioactive isotopes like strontium-90. Parents were rarely informed, and samples were taken from hospitals across Europe, the US, and Australia. Declassified documents revealed that over 1,500 samples were harvested under this program. In 1995, President Bill Clinton issued a formal apology, calling the project a betrayal of basic human decency. Families of the deceased demanded accountability, but no legal repercussions followed for the scientists involved. Number 8. Operation Northwoods, False Flags and Fabrications. In 1962, U.S. military leaders proposed Operation Northwoods, a chilling scheme to fabricate attacks on American citizens to justify war with Cuba. Plans included hijacking planes, sinking ships, and staging bombings in U.S. cities. These attacks would be blamed on Fidel Castro's regime, galvanizing public support for a Cuban invasion. When the proposal reached President John F. Kennedy, he firmly rejected it, reportedly saying, "We're not going to plunge the country into war on lies." The plan, declassified in 1997, shocked the public, revealing the lengths to which government officials were willing to go for geopolitical gain. Number 9. Tuskegee Syphilis Study, the Medical Betrayal. From 1932 to 1972, the U.S. Public Health Service conducted a grotesque experiment in Tuskegee, Alabama, involving 600 African American men. The men, primarily sharecroppers, were falsely told they were receiving treatment for syphilis. Instead, researchers withheld life-saving medication to study the disease's progression. Even after penicillin became widely available in the 1940s, the participants were deliberately left untreated. Over 100 men died as a result, and many infected their families. The experiment was exposed in 1972, sparking national outrage. In 1997, President Clinton apologized, stating, "What was done cannot be undone, but we can end the silence." Number 10. COINTELPRO, Surveillance State Unmasked. The FBI's counterintelligence program, COINTELPRO, active from 1956 to 1971, aimed to disrupt political movements deemed subversive. Targets included civil rights leaders like Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, and the Black Panthers. Tactics ranged from wiretapping to psychological warfare. One infamous incident involved an anonymous letter urging King to commit suicide, accompanied by recordings of his private conversations. J. Edgar Hoover, the FBI's director, labeled King the most dangerous man in America. The program was exposed in 1971 when activists broke into an FBI office, revealing classified documents. Public outrage led to reforms, but the scars of COINTELPRO remain a testament to government overreach.